Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to Awesome Radio on WECU 107.5 FM and 1570 AM. Welcome to another empowering broadcast with Get Life Educational Empowerment. I am your host, Sherida Suggs, principal, educational coach, motivational speaker, and passionate advocate for all things encompassing student, families, and community success. I am so excited that you have chosen to spend this time with us as we continue our journey of growth, collaboration, and empowerment. Here at Get Life Educational Empowerment, we believe in educational abundance, strong schools, strong relationships, and strong futures. And when we get it together and live in full expectancy, we don't just survive the school year, we thrive and persevere. Before we go any further, here on Awesome Radio, I want to take a very intentional moment right here, right now, to speak to you directly, our listeners, our viewers, our partners. I want to take this time to tell you thank you so much for being a part of this journey with us. You see, this platform, this movement, this mission, it does not exist without you, our partners. How you, our audience, shows up, it means more to me than words can fully express. Every time you tune in, every time you listen, every time you watch, every time you share this broadcast with someone else, you are not just an audience member. You are a participant. You are a partner. You are a collaborator. You are a builder of futures. Thank you for building with us. Your presence here says that education matters. Your presence here says that students, families, and communities matter. And let me say this clearly, it takes all of us. Thank you for supporting. And I admonish you to tune in every Tuesday from 3 to 4 p.m. as we experience and explore real life situations from today's schools and communities. Here at Get Life, rather than focus on the problems and focusing on being fixated on the barriers, Get Life shifts the conversation towards solutions, collaboration, efforts, and meaningful growth. So that together, every learner has the opportunity to thrive. Whether you are a school leader, a classroom leader, a teacher, an educational coach, a student, a parent, a guardian, or a community partner, you're invited not only to grow, but to join in helping others thrive as well. Welcome to Awesome Radio on WECU 107.5 FM and 1570 AM. I am absolutely thrilled that you are here to join this powerful broadcast. Get Life Educational Empowerment. So, before we dive into today's topic, which is what building strong relationships in our schools will do in order to achieve student success, I want to take a little moment to explain more about what our show is all about and the heart behind it. I'm your host, Sherida Suggs, and my heart and mission are rooted in using my very own gifts to inspire, uplift, and empower others. I am truly thankful for this platform and for the opportunity to empower others through education. The title of this show, Get Life Educational Empowerment, is rooted in my long time motto, Get Life. It is spelled GITLIFE. Get Life stands for Get It Together, Live in Full Expectancy. Because you see, this motto, it reflects my belief that when life starts lifing, throwing challenges and obstacles our way, we don't stay stuck on focusing on rehashing and rehearsing the problem over and over again. Instead, we get it together and look for solutions. As the word of God reminds us in Romans 8 and 37, yet in all things, we are more than conquerors through him that loves us, through him who loves us. And to live in full expectancy means that we stand firm on God's promises and live in full expectation from him, expecting great things no matter the situation or the challenge that we face. John 10:10 tells us that the thief cometh not but to kill, steal, and to destroy. But I am come that they might have life and they might have it more abundantly. Because of that promise, we know that we are able to rise, overcome, and grow even through life's unexpected challenges. And we all know education comes with its fare of challenges. As a motivational speaker and educator, I am deeply passionate about helping families, students, teachers, and fellow educators navigate through these problems, build confidence, and take purposeful steps toward growth and achievements. Beyond the classroom, I also serve as a writer, a mentor, an event host, a tutor, educational consultant, and founder of Get Life Empowerment Solutions. That is GIT, Get It Together, where I support individuals and educational communities to discover meaningful, practical solutions to life's challenges. Every part of my journey is to help others to reach their fullest potentials. And I am honored to share that journey with you. I am honored to make you a part of the journey. You, my co hosts, my collaborators, my listeners. So let's partner together to get it together and live in full expectancy. Empower education. This dynamic progress based show is dedicated to help families, students, and communities with practical tools to problem solve, close gaps, build bridges, and rise to meet the challenges of today's educational landscape. And when we get it together, we also live in full expectancy, applying new skills, strategies, and mindsets to grow, thrive, and elevate our educational journeys. Believing in educational abundance, strong schools, strong families, and strong futures. So let's learn together, engage together, and be inspired as we equip one another with real world strategies and collaborative solutions fueled by positivity and an empowered mindset. Together, let's turn challenges into triumph. Let's turn trials into triumphs. Let's have a growth mindset and create success for every achiever. Good afternoon, and welcome to a brand new season of growth, learning, and possibility on the Awesome Radio Network, WECU 107.5 FM and 1570 AM. You can listen and engage with us live on the Awesome Radio Network via the Awesome Radio Network app. And we're also streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Our last broadcast, we focused on starting the new year by pressing reset mentally, emotionally, and academically. We talked about how January 2026 is not just a new month, it's not just a new year, but it is a fresh opportunity to refocus, recommit, and realign our life goals, our educational goals, our personal goals, and our goals for success. We addressed the importance of mental health in education, managing stress for students, educators, families, communities, working together, smarter, not harder. We talked about setting boundaries and prioritizing what really matters most, celebrating progress over perfection. We also shared real strategies like brain breaks for students, organizational and time management at home and in the classroom, collaboration instead of isolation for educators and families. And we reminded ourselves of this truth. Educational empowerment is about the whole person, the whole child, mind, body, heart, spirit, and encompassing the community. That foundation matters because you cannot build strong academic outcomes without strong emotional and relational support. You can listen to our previous broadcasts on the pre mentioned platforms Facebook, YouTube. When we get back, we're going to talk about why relationships matter in education. As we step into a new year, 2026, and reflect on the trials and triumphs of the 2025 school year from August to October to December, one truth becomes very clear. Positive relationships drive results. Positive results. Strong relationships improve student engagement, reduce behavioral challenges, increases motivation and confidence within our students, and it strengthens communication between schools and homes, which is so important. As we partner and come together to help our students to achieve better. Strong relationships also creates safer and more supportive learning environments. Relationships don't maintain themselves. Stress, miscommunication, fatigue, and unmet expectations can strain even the strongest connections over time. That's why January is a season of rebuilding, restoring, and renewing the relationship that matters most so that we can finish the year strong and ensure that every student has the support that they need to succeed. The support needed from our schools. the support needed from our parents and guardians, the support needed from our families and our communities. As we head into our next segment, I want you thinking about this question. What relationships in your schools, homes, or community can benefit from a positive reset? Stay right where you are. You're listening to Awesome Radio Network, broadcasting on WECU 107.5 FM and 1570 AM and WNOS 102.3 FM as well as 1450 AM. You can also watch us live on Awesome Radio Facebook and YouTube. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Get Life Educational Empowerment on Awesome Radio, WECU 107.5 FM and 1570 AM, and WNOS 102.3 FM and 1450 AM. And it's time for our Keeping It Real moments because growth starts with honesty. Before we went on our commercial break, I asked you to pause for a second and think about this question. What relationships in your school, your family, or your community can benefit from a positive reset? Because let's be honest, relationships don't fall apart overnight. They don't heal overnight either. Misunderstandings do happen. First impressions do matter. And sometimes that first impression can be tainted. Stress builds, feelings go unspoken, and before we know it, hurt takes place, distance takes place. True connections aren't fostered. And that's why reset is about awareness, retention, restoration, and growth. There's a reason why this question matters so much. As Maya Angelou so powerfully reminds us, people may forget what you said or what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And in education, that truth shows up every single day. Long after the lesson ends, students may not remember every standard. They may not remember every assignment or test, but they will remember how they were treated and how they felt. They will remember whether they felt seen or overlooked, supported or dismissed, respected or ignored, believed in or written off. Those feelings shape how they show up and how they grow up. I can share with you my own experiences as an elementary student and how they shaped the way I understand the importance of building strong relationships and positive relationships in education. Through both the good and the bad, I remembered how I was treated, how I felt, even as an elementary school second grade student, first grade student, how it impacted how I responded to challenges, how willing I was to engage, and yet how, despite some of those mishaps, I chose to grow. The same is true for educators, families, and community partners. When people feel valued, heard, and respected, relationships strengthen. And when relationships strengthen, outcomes improve. That's why a positive reset can be the difference between simply getting through the year and truly growing through the year. A positive reset gives us a chance to restore what could possibly be a broken relationship. A positive reset must be intentional. So, as we move forward into this conversation, I challenge you to really reflect honestly. Where can connections be restored? Where can trust be rebuilt? Where can a simple shift in how we show up change everything? I think back to when I first encountered racism as an elementary school student. Long before I even knew what racism was, I did notice that I was treated differently. I did notice how my teacher looked at me versus how she looked at students that were of a lighter tone than myself. My potential as a bright student was brushed aside simply because my skin was not light enough to warrant recognition. As I got older, I thought about going to college. I dreamed about it, but I had no guidance. I will never forget the day that I built up enough courage, built up enough confidence to walk into my high school counselor's office. I simply asked her for help and possibly preparing for college. Her words stung as she looked at me and she asked me, "What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do?" That was our first and last conversation because I didn't know how to answer that. I didn't know what school counselors do. All I knew was that I needed help. She looked at me as if I had no future. She looked at me as if I had no hope. She looked at me as if there was nothing that could be done on my behalf to be a successful student. Unfortunately, her son, as a top student, went into an emotional spiral and took his own life. And I, without his mom's guidance, was left to navigate the system alone. But with God's help, I decided to get it together. I found my way through community college, guided by my friends who knew the ropes, guided by my friends who needed me in some way, guided by my friends who saw the light in me, saw my value, saw my potential. They showed me where to go, what forms to fill out. If it wasn't for that one friend who actually needed a ride to school, I would have never even have known how to get to Pitt Community College because I didn't know the way. If it weren't for the positive relationships that I had with true friends who knew my potential for one reason or another, they believed in me. I would probably be wandering around that campus right now trying to find the registrar's office. Shout out to Sadana, Shanika, and Kanisha. Thank you, friends. From there, I went on to earn my associate's degree, my bachelor's degree, and not only but one but two master's degrees. And I shared this humbly, not because the path was easy and because everything was laid out for me, but because I believed in the calling on my life, even when others did not. Despite the challenges that I faced at that time, I decided I had to make a conscious decision to get it together. I took ownership of my journey, sought out guidance where I could, and followed the steps necessary to move forward. And here I am today, living in full expectancy, expecting greatness, expecting great things, believing in purpose, and walking boldly into the future. That's exactly what I want for you, our listeners. And while This broadcast matters so deeply to me. My artistry, my work, my voice. It's not just a hobby, it is a mission, it is a ministry, it is motivation, it is inspiration, it is empowerment, it is therapy, it's truth telling, and a battle cry for freedom. You see, the show is all about helping our students, schools, families, and communities to get it together and live in full expectancy, empowering ourselves and others to thrive. And as Maya Angelou said so powerfully, still I rise. And I say this to you with my whole heart. I am enough. And to you, you are enough. Our listeners, our viewers, your presence here matters. And still, together we rise. Your being a part of this audience means that you believe in hope over hopelessness, solutions over silence, and connections over division. It means that you are committed to creating the kind of educational and community atmosphere that our students, our future, truly deserves. When you tune in, you help to amplify choices. When you tune in, you help to bridge gaps. When you tune in, you help build futures. So, from my heart to yours, thank you for trusting this space, this platform, for believing in the Get Life mission. Thank you for choosing empowerment, growth, and for choosing to get it together and live in full expectancy with us. Please know this: you matter here. Your presence matters. Your partnership matters. Your voice matters. I invite you to answer the question that I asked by simply entering your answer into the chat, our Facebook chat, or on YouTube. Where can trust be rebuilt? Where can relationships be restored? Where can a simple shift in how we show up for our students change everything? Answer in the comments. Answer in our Facebook and YouTube communities. You can even send me an email at getlifeempowerment@gmail.com. How can the community benefit from a positive reset? How can students and families benefit from a positive reset? How can building positive relationships help our students to thrive? Together, we are stronger. Get Life is not just a show, it's a movement. And movements are built through people who care. Show us that you care in the comments. Stay tuned because when we return, we will restore and think about positive ways to restore relationships. We will talk about tools that will change lives, that creates and impact every student's success. Don't you go anywhere. You matter too much. Awesome Radio at WECU FM and WNOS 102.3 FM and 14508 AM. We'll be right back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. You're tuning in to Get Life Educational Empowerment right here on the Awesome Radio Network. broadcasting on WECU 107.5 FM and 1570 AM, as well as WNOS 102.3 FM and 1450 AM. And don't forget, you can watch us on Awesome Radio Facebook and YouTube. In schools and communities, relationships break down because of miscommunication, unspoken or unclear expectations, stress and burnout, past conflicts left unresolved, lack of time to connect, and these challenges can show up everywhere. They can show up in from student to student conflicts, student to teacher conflict, teacher to parents conflicts. The parent to school communication gaps are real, and they can even show up in community disengagements. But here's the truth: positive relationships can be rebuilt, positive relationships can be restored. Let's have a get life moment with principles from our principal, Miss Suggs. Let's pause for a moment to reflect, reset, and get intentional about the role that each of us play in building positive relationships that lead to student success. Okay? Teachers, I want to speak directly to you first because you are the professionals. You are the educators. Not only that, you have been educated and you have been called. We, as educators, we as teachers, we as classroom leaders and administrators, we have to understand that education is a very humbling career. We have to humble ourselves and remember that it's not about us. Students are small people learning to navigate in a big world. They come to school to learn, and in order for them to truly learn, we have to truly teach. We have to truly teach them the behaviors that we expect from them. Not only do we teach the behaviors that we expect, but we also inspect what we expect. After we have taught them, we have to follow up and provide feedback. Let them know of those areas that they can improve and those areas that they did well. We cannot assume that they already know. How many of you, as educators, have said or heard those words? You know better than that. Friends, we cannot take for granted that they know better. We don't know what type of environment those students come from. Just like we had to learn how to tie our own shoes or walk, someone had to teach us. Someone had to show us. Someone had to model for us. Students need guidance. Students need to be taught. Students need clear expectations, consistent modeling, and consistent feedback. Parents, you are charged with one of the most important roles in your child's life. Proverbs 22:6 tells us to train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Parents, you have heard it said that it starts in the home. That training begins at home. Just as your child had to be potty trained, they had to learn how to use the toilet. And how did they learn? They learned by watching you. Children learn from what they are exposed to on a daily basis. We cannot expect our students to behave or perform differently at school than what they are exposed to and what we show them at home. We have to set good examples for them. Their experiences at home, it travels to their school community. Parents, it starts with you. Parents, sometimes we have to lay aside our own personal wants so that we can cater to the needs of our children, the students that we brought into this world, so that we can train them, so that we can disciple them on how to behave in a school setting, so that how they can behave in a public setting, so that they can be thriving members of the community. Students need to be able to be trained further by the teachers and educators that they are being presented to. In order for a child to leave home great and return home greater, it starts in the home. And this is where the village comes in, community. It takes a village to raise a child, but that village includes you, the school, parents, and community partnership. It starts with a commitment to influence positivity. It helps us to understand that students come from diverse backgrounds. Some students have experienced trauma and gaps in experiences that actually positively impact their abilities to engage. Some students come to school hungry. Some students don't get rest at night. As educators, parents, and community members, it is our responsibility to be the village. When these students step into the schools, those schools should be a safe place. We, together, we have to provide the guidance, encouragement, and structure that students need so that they can thrive. Research supports this. Studies show that positive teacher student communication relationships are strongly correlated with high academic achievement. When a child knows that someone cares, they care. Building positive relationships does improve attendance. It reduces behavior issues because that child wants to come to school and that child wants to do well for that person that believes in them, the person that they know cares about them. When a child feels included, when a student feels seen, respected, supported, and heard, they are more likely to engage in learning and take risks in their education. Similarly, when families and communities actively participate in education, children develop stronger social, emotional skills and higher self esteem and resilience. I want you to reflect and I want you to leave in those comments on our Facebook and YouTube platforms. You can even email me at getlifeempowerment@gmail.com. How can we, as educators, model the expectations that our students need to succeed? How can parents intentionally teach and reinforce the values, habits, and skills that prepare their students, their children, for school and life? Hey, how can the community partner with schools to create a supportive and empowering environment that encourages trust, growth, and achievements? Chime in, leave a message. We want to hear from you. And we want to invite you onto the show. You see, building strong relationships is not an option. Children cannot learn and grow in an environment that they feel misunderstood and not supported. However, when we come together as teachers, parents, and communities to model, teach, and reinforce positive behaviors, we create a culture of care, accountability, and growth within our students. And that is how we empower them to achieve their fullest potential. And here is the motivation that I want you to carry with you today. Every interaction, every conversation, every choice to show respect and support, it matters. You have the power to change a student's life. You have the power to change a student's day. You, teachers, you have the power to change a school's culture into a positive and inviting culture and change the trajectory of a child's life. The impact of what we do is not always immediate, but it is lasting. When we invest in relationships, we invest in futures. We show up intentionally. We teach with heart. We support with purpose. We light the path for students to rise, to trust, and to thrive. When we properly invest in those positive relationships. And this is what Get Life is all about, getting it together, helping our students to live in full expectancy, building those strong relationships that transform lives. So, moving onward and upward, let's talk solutions and restorative practices. Something that is changing the way that schools approach relationships. So, restorative practices are approaches and strategies used to build positive relationships, to prevent conflict, or at least lessen the opportunity for conflict to occur, and to repair when conflicts do occur out within the school community. The focus here is on connection, accountability, and community rather than just punishments. So, here's the core idea of restorative practices. Restorative practices are about repairing relationships. So, I want you to think about your renewal in January. Educators, when you walk back into those schools, think about the relationships with the students that you have. Think about the relationship with parents and families that you have. Think about the relationships that could have possibly been tainted by that negative first impression, by that negative report card, by that rude moment, by that conversation that didn't go so well. So we have to, again, educators, humble ourselves and think about how we can repair those relationships. How can we restore the trust? Remember, we are the professionals, and it is our responsibilities. When someone's actions negatively affect others, we are charged with restoration and that responsibility. It is a shift from asking about who broke the rules and who fault is it, who left the gate open, but instead think about who's affected and how can we make it right. Remember, we focus on solutions here at Get Life. How can we restore, rebuild a trusting relationship and make it right with our students, with our parents, and even our communities? The key goals of restorative practices are simple but powerful. It builds a sense of trust, it builds a sense of community, inclusivity in schools. It encourages personal responsibility amongst our students, helping them to reflect on their own actions, helping them to be accountable for the roles that they play. It reduces repeat conflicts and disciplinary issues. It creates a safe and supportive learning environment. So, how does this look in action? There are several common strategies that are used within schools. So we can think of restorative circles where students and staff can come together to discuss issues, to share feelings, and solve problems collaboratively. It gives the students a voice, but it also gives them an opportunity to listen. And it's the most beautiful thing when the parent is also involved. When we sit together in a circle as a unit to problem solve, to hear each other out, to collaborate collectively. There are also restorative conferences between the person who caused the harm, the person or the people that are affected, and a mediator to discuss the impact and mediate on steps to repair the harm. Peer mediation. We all know that students face conflict in schools. So, restorative practices help students to learn how to navigate and communicate positively with each other and express their feelings. It assists in mediation and mediating the conflicts between peers. It does take time, but it is wonderful to see students learn how to express their feelings towards each other and be able to apologize or simply agree to disagree. Check ins and check outs. Those are short, daily, or weekly meetings that can build connections that reflect on behavior and relations. And let me tell you, parents and families, you can check in and check out at home with your students. Check in with your students when they walk through the door in the afternoon. Check out with them when they're heading out of the door in the mornings. Make sure that you're listening to them. Make sure that you understand their true feelings and you're supporting them wherever they are. So, why does this matter so much? Well, traditional discipline often focuses on punishment. It focuses on suspension or detention or taking away something or isolating students rather than teach them accountability. So restorative practices, it teaches them social emotional skills, empathy, sympathy, problem solving, and communication, effective communication. Students feel heard and respected with restorative practices. It helps to improve engagement, behavior, and academic outcomes. So, in short, restorative practices does help schools to move from a punishment focused environment to a relationship focused environment, creating a culture of trust, care, accountability, and growth. For students, it helps them to practice respectful communication, even during those disagreements. And it helps them to seek understanding before reacting. It helps them to ask questions, to advocate for themselves respectfully, and to seek clarity rather than assuming intent. For educators, rebuilding trust through consistent practices, it helps the educators to listen with empathy. It helps to separate behavior from identity. It creates a safe space for student voice. For families and communities, restorative practices, it re-engages them in partnership. It helps the community to support schools, not just supervise learning. Community members, we invite you to come into these schools and help to provide, be present, be proactive, be there. Your help is needed. Building relationships is not about perfection, but it's about progress, patience, and purpose. We're going to talk more about discipline, classroom management, and restorative practices on our next show. But as we prepare for our closing and final segments, I want you to remember that positive relationships don't happen by accident. They're built intentionally. And when relationships are restored, learning is restored and student achievement thrives. So, as we close out, let's think about some affirmations and encouragements as well as a call to action. Let's reset our mindset. Students, I want you to think about how you can communicate with respect and confidence. Students, tell yourselves, I can learn from others and I can grow through challenges. Students, tell yourself, I am valued, I am valuable, and I am capable of positive change. Educators, tell yourself, charge yourself to saying, I build trust through patience, grace, and understanding. Educators, tell yourself, my words and actions shape positive learning environments. Educators, hold yourself accountable and tell yourself, I lead with purpose. I lead with compassion. Community members and families, tell yourself, I am a valuable and vital partner in education. I support growth through communication and connection. Community members, I admonish you to find out how you can be a part of these schools. Volunteer. Community members, tell yourself, together we build strong, successful futures. So you have to remember that these students, they are our futures. So we better get it together because we're going to need these little people in our lives. So, as we move forward into the remainder of the school year, let's remember that relationships are the foundation for success. Growth requires grace, and communication creates connections. This is not just a time to reconnect, but it's a time to collaborate and build a strong community. Building positive relationships is the cornerstone of trust. And trust is the glue that holds schools, families, and communities together. When students, educators, and parents come together with the community members and interact with respect, empathy, and honesty, they begin to believe in each other and each other's intentions. In schools, trust looks like students knowing that their teachers care about them, believing in their potential, and that they will support them, even when mistakes happen. Teachers, trust that the students will engage and follow your guidance. Remember, you are the leaders, you are in charge, you are the professionals. And families, you are our partners in learning. Within families, trust grows when students feel heard and understood. And we know that educators and our community members invest in our students' futures and mutual respect. In communities, positive relationships lead to trust, showing that adults, whether that adult is an educator, whether that adult is a neighbor, or a local business owner or entrepreneur, that they are committed to the well-being of every child. Communities that trust and support their schools are more likely to volunteer and support initiative and participate in solutions that strengthen student outcomes. And once again, research shows that when trust is present, schools see higher student engagement, schools see higher potential, lower disciplinary issues, and stronger collaboration between teachers, families, and community partners. Trust creates an environment where everyone feels safe to share ideas, take risks, and grow together. So, as we step into the new year, building positive relationships within our schools, families, and communities is more important than ever. Why? because the foundation of student success and even educator success is not just curriculum. It's not just policies and tests. It's connection, trust, and support. When relationships are positive, when relationships are strong, students feel seen, heard, and valued, which increases engagement, motivation, and confidence. Educators feel supported and understood, which is so important. It improves collaboration, job satisfaction, resilience, and teacher retention, bus driver retention, principal retention. We have to have those strong positive relationships so that we can keep these teachers in these classrooms so that they can be empowered to educate. Families and communities will feel included and empowered as well. And this strengthens the overall environment for learning and growth. So, tying this all back to our last topic, starting the new year off strong, think of positive relationships as a fuel for momentum. Just like you can't run a race without energy. Students and educators cannot reach their fullest potential without meaningful connections. Starting the year by rebuilding, restoring, and renewing positive relationships sets the tone for the months ahead, the months of EOG prep, the months of student achievement, the months of positive report card grades, allowing everyone to enter the new year with clarity, purpose, and hope. And here's something we cannot overlook: mental health. Research shows that students that feel supported by teachers, parents, and peers are less likely to experience anxiety, depression, and burnout. They're better able to focus, they're better able to manage stress, they're better able to persevere through challenges with that positive support. The same applies for educators. Strong professional and supportive relationships. It reduces stress, prevents burnout, and it creates a sense of belonging and purpose, which we all need. In short, building positive relationships is not just nice to have, it is essential. It is essential for thriving academically, emotionally, and socially. When we invest in these positive relationships at the start of 2026, at the start of this new year, we are setting the stage for success, resilience, and well being for everyone in our educational community. And just like that, we have come to the close of another powerful episode of Get Life Educational Empowerment. Remember, we are an educational empowering village, and together we are bridging gaps and building futures. It is a pleasure for me to present myself as your host, Sherida Suggs. And I thank you so much for tuning in to the Awesome Radio Network, the Get Life Educational Empowerment broadcast on WECU 107.5 FM and 1570 AM, and WNOS 102.3 FM and 1450 AM. Don't forget, you can also watch us live on Awesome Radio Facebook and YouTube. Listeners, viewers, and partners, I encourage you to stay empowered, stay connected, and stay inspired. Until next time, get it together. Live in full expectancy. Empower education.